Okay. August 16th, 2023, Team No Sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, sitting to the next of me is Montel Allen. How you living, brother?
Man, blessed as usual. You know how we do.
You know how we
Uh,
do.
10 toes above ground, man. We got another day, so it's always promising.
That
And
that
I'm
right
just
there.
blessed, man.
Yeah, that right there is gonna be the new mantra. I may put that on a shirt for us right there. Just keep them 10 toes down.
That's right. That's
uh
right. And if you got diabetes and they amputate one, you got 9 toes down. Just make sure they down.
Lord have mercy. He talking to you, Coach Sanders. He coaching you, Dion. With your eight toes. That's, that's hilarious right there. Listen, man, y'all know if you're new around these parts, Team No Sleep, social impact of sport. We get into some conversation. We like 2 minutes late tonight because we were debating a handful of other stories that literally just came across the news wire, and we're like, man, should we talk about this stuff? We probably will. So we're gonna do a little ask us anything. If you guys got questions or you got a particular sport or particular situation that you want us to dive into, let us know. We got 3 or 4 stories to jump into, but um, man, let's start with again some the social impact story. Let's start with something that unfortunately is keep hitting the news, and we need to get an answer for this. Uh, Young man, Caleb White, 17 years old, high school, right?
Yep.
Out of Alabama, out there on the court, doing what it is that he loves, doing what it is that he does, passes out. Unfortunately, not like Bronny James, Caleb White didn't make it. So we want to give our heartfelt condolences to the family, to this young man right here. Let's go ahead and make it real, right? Put the face up, and the picture up of this young man who, again, out there on the basketball court, practicing, playing with his partners, just doing right and doing good, fit, top of conditioning, right?
Mhm.
All the testosterone, all the adrenaline, all the energy, all the good stuff, right? An athlete, 17 years old. So why are we seeing so many of these stories happening? Young folks like this, 17-year-old, top tier, AAU, whatever you want to call it, right? Elite athletes running up and down the court and they passing out. Unfortunately, some of them are making it off of that court. This is a bad story, man.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate story. Like I said, our prayers and thoughts go out to the White family. Promising young man, promising young student athlete, ranked third in the state of Alabama as far as basketball players are concerned. Achieved a whole bunch of accolades on the basketball court, and now for some odd reason unknown to us right now, he was running up and down the court like you said. He passed out, and he wasn't able to be resuscitated. Um, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We don't. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We don't know what these young men are taking in their body. We don't know if it has anything to do when we took the shot for COVID. We don't know
Mm,
what it is. I know people want to speculate. Let's address the elephant in the room. Some people say it's the shot that COVID is doing it. We don't know. We really truly don't know what's causing these issues. Now, I can tell you right now that these issues that are happening with these young men heart is not new. We had players back in our day die. Hank Gathers was one of the most promising athletes in college basketball and died on the basketball court at Loyola Marymount back in the day.
mm.
Um, I think it happens. I think we don't. I think now with social media, we see it a lot more, and especially with somebody when it happens to Bronny, it's really national news, big time, because he's the son of LeBron James. Um, man, this is just we don't know, and it's crazy because we don't know because these are supposed to be our top tier athletes, like you said, in the best shape of their life, young, full of energy, and then something like this is happening.
Yeah.
So
Let me ask you this, man, because
yeah,
you deep in this, right? In terms of you got kids that play and you real close to athletics at the high school and the college level. Are they training too much, training too hard?
I don't know if it's overtraining, but I do believe there may be something to do with the supplements. The
Okay.
supplements and the things they take. I
Which
mean,
is high right now, right? I mean, which is
yeah,
really not high, which is really popular. Everyone,
yeah, yeah.
a lot of folks out there
Everyone,
hitting the gym are taking whatever the supplements are. Some of them make sense, but
yeah,
they may be over ingesting or overusing whatever and not using them properly. So that's an
yeah.
interesting point that you
I
just bring
think
up.
I truly believe that's something that to look into. I mean, with all the sports drinks, and then you
Hmm.
have all the Red Bull drinks to give them energy to play more games, and then you have powder supplements with creatine and so on and so on, and then you're taking pill supplements in order to help you out. Remember, these kids are training more and more every day, but they're also trying to recover faster and faster. And people
Mm.
are telling them to take these things to recover fast. So when they're recovering faster, all the stuff in your body has to digest. I think that's a huge issue. I think that no one wants to address because that's a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? It's a billion-dollar industry that nobody wants to take, especially their targeted audiences are athletes. But no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to say that. Everybody just wants to blame it. Oh, well, COVID was the issue. Well, maybe COVID combined with these supplements and things they're doing is the issue. Maybe it's also that combined with the diet that they're having the issue. Remember, we're no longer drinking as much water. They're drinking water with electrolytes. They're drinking sports drinks. They're
Yeah.
drinking these drinks to keep them awake. They're drinking these drinks, these 5-hour energy things so they can be
Wow.
fired up and
Yeah.
pumped up. They're taking bee honey. I mean, everything under the sun. On top of that, you got sugar. On top of that, you have poor diet for a lot of these guys because they're always on the run. Especially college athletes, especially high school athletes, I can imagine too. Bad diet, right? They don't eat right. They eat a lot of fast food, a lot of pizza, a lot of junk food at night because they're top athletes. They burn it off really, really fast. I think that combined with all these other things, man, could be contributing to this. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor by any means.
Yeah.
I'm just giving my perspective what I think. We just don't know what's causing this. But usually, if it's a heart issue, usually it's a clogged artery, right? It's
Right.
not heart disease because they're too young. They're pretty much too young to have heart disease. It's usually a clogged artery or something something wrong with the heart that's making it stop, which means there's a blockage. With that being said, that would to me, at least from our traditional medical, would be poor diet, right? A lot of poor diet, even though you're running and doing something's not giving in. And I think all those supplements, man, I think it's very hard for a body to digest all those supplements. In my opinion.
Especially if you're taking, if they're not as clean, right? Look,
Yeah.
every supplement provider that's out there, and I'm not going to mention anybody's name because I'm not ready for no lawsuit. But
Yeah.
right, there are cleaner supplements that you can put into your body, right? When we're talking
Yeah.
about glutamines and the creatines, and we're talking about stuff like the nitric oxide to open up the blood vessels. So I like what Tony was saying. He says, yes, train too much. I know you got to get to that level, but there are areas of overtraining. You got to rest your body. You can't be out there 365. And again,
I,
17 years old, you think you're invincible. You think you can be
yeah.
out there on the court, go to class, go to work, then go back and do it all over again. I know because I did it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I tried to do it, and I literally
Yeah.
crashed from
Well,
doing that. So,
I think that's probably one of the biggest statements that we're missing here is rest.
yeah,
Like, and I constantly preach that to my son every day. You got to get rest. Can't be on that video game at night. You can't do these certain things, and keeping your body deprived of rest because that's the most important thing that's going to help your body recover fast enough and going to help your body and help your muscles and stuff relax. For these situations, everybody's like, "Oh, so many going on," but I that Red Bull and those energy drinks,
yeah, yeah.
Prime and
Red
all
Bull
those
is
things these
terrible.
guys are taking.
Listen, I'll say it out loud. Red Bull
Yeah,
is terrible for you.
but
We'll
those, but
never
they
get
but
an
they drink it
endorsement
like
from them.
water.
Yeah,
But kids are drinking it like water because they want to stay awake. They
yeah.
want to have that extra umph when they get on the court or on the football field. They want those things, and like I say, top that off with sugar, caffeine. Kids nowadays drink a lot of coffee because they want
Mm-hmm.
to stay up. I mean, I would say, are we overtraining, but are we over having expectations for our kids? Like, are we putting so much pressure on them, especially when they're a little bit gifted than the other, to do so much and to get so much to get to that point?
So
Oh, do they feel they got to do these things in order to make to push their body to the limit?
yeah, so are they overstimulating themselves just to keep up with the Joneses?
Your
Right?
expectation,
Right.
yeah,
Keep up with the expectation that
yeah,
external is putting on them, coaches putting on them, that their fans or the school, and maybe even on themselves. And that's a hard place to be for a 53-year-old plus for a 17-year-old. Right. That's
yes.
a hard place to be. And we're only speculating. We're here throwing our opinions out and wondering, but there's just too many of these young, gifted athletes from an external side. We see them at the top of their game, right? We think
And,
they're at the top of their health, but they're out there doing what they do. They're getting hit, or they're out there running too much, or something's happening, and they end up passing out, having cardiac arrest at 17 years old, and
Well,
then this Caleb White who didn't
all,
make it.
but also, are we getting to a point where we're specializing our kids so much where we had a transitional change when we were younger? Remember, we played football, basketball, baseball, football,
Yeah,
basketball, baseball,
yeah,
track. We did different sports. Now kids are getting to a point where they're specialized in one sport. So you got to think basketball. You're constantly jumping, accelerating, and hard in 90 minute, 45-minute intervals, and you're playing a bunch of pickup games and so on and so on. So the heart doesn't get a chance to rest or change. You know, what I'm saying, change his pace or anything because you're playing that one sport. So, and I don't know. I'm just speculating as a person. I know it works different for muscles, but the heart is a muscle as well.
mm-hmm.
It can't keep it can't keep pumping that much that fast for that long all the time every day. It needs a rest. Where at least football, it pumps, it goes down, it pumps, it goes down because we have a break in between plays. Basketball, for that 3 months, we're running like basketball players. Then we stop and we play baseball, which we also know is a much slower pace game. Or we run track, which is a little slower pace. You want one race and then you stop. Basketball is a consistent go for 90 minutes. It's a consistent go up and down the court, jumping, running. Your heart's going. That's probably the only sport that doesn't stop except that in soccer, right? That in
True.
soccer, but
Yeah.
soccer you can kind of run at your own pace, right? It's not a sprint the whole time or a jump the whole time. So I believe maybe the sport that has something to really, really accelerate what's going on because we see them. Football players usually die when it dies from dehydration, exhaustion, right? When they die so young, it's because of that. Basketball, they're dying because of more of heart issues. At least that's what we've read. At least
True.
that's what I've
At least
seen.
that's
Or
that's,
what I've
that's
read.
what we're seeing, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, as you've alluded to, this isn't new. This has happened in the past, but we're seeing it more now because again, everyone has a camera, everyone's on
yeah,
social, so they're sharing it. But the ones that we're seeing the most of, unfortunately, are again these young cats, and we're seeing more on the basketball court. I
yeah.
listen. I don't want to sound morbid or anything, but I would expect more to be from on the soccer field, right? Because that cardio out there, that's out there,
Yeah, but you got to think it's
or
not it's not a
or
it's
even
not
some more football ones, some more DeMar Hamlin ones. But again, so I'm sorry, but yeah, go ahead.
no, but I would say for soccer it's different because soccer's not a sprint explode, right? Basketball is a sprint explode, come back down, sprint back down, explode, play defense, sprint down and explode.
Yeah,
Soccer's more of a pace, right? You sprint in intervals, but you can pretty much pace yourself the way you run until you get the ball, right, or till you get in the position. It's not it's
makes
not it's
sense.
not a
That
full
makes sense.
sprint. I think football again. Remember, football is a 4 second, then you get a break. Huddle up, get back to the
Mm-hmm.
play. 4
Mm-hmm.
seconds. It's 4 second intervals. Basketball is more of a push consistently. So again, if we're looking at the muscle, the heart is pumping for basically what I think the basketball game is 90 minutes. What's 15-minute quarters or 12-minute quarters, 48 minutes, or at least an hour. So your heart is constantly pumping for an hour. Especially those guys that are superstars, they play most of the game. So you gotta say 40 minutes a night. They're pumping, their heart is pumping like that. A little bit of rest. They probably go practice, work out, come back again, practice in the morning again, get ready for the game, and practice again. So they're practicing 3 times a day, making their heart rate goes that fast all the time with very little rest. And then you pump all this stuff into your system. I mean, man, it could be that could be what's toxic about it.
Yeah,
I don't know because I mean, this is new tread waters for us. We never seen so many young people having heart troubles. And
right.
again, I don't know if this is just post COVID or was it pre COVID as well, right? Yeah, we don't know what the situation was because we really weren't monitoring it that much pre COVID. Now we're having these star athletes happen to them post COVID, and they're saying it could possibly be the shot. I'm not a firm believer it's the shot alone. I think it's a combination of things that it's caused.
Yeah, hopefully somebody does some research on this, man. So, someone with a medical degree, someone with a white lab coat, somebody figures this out, right? Because again, these are not the stories that anyone, no parent wants to bury their kid at 17 years old for whatever reason, and especially
Yep.
not out there doing something that they love, something positive,
Yep.
right? And to be out there, and we talk a lot about mental anguish. We talk about mental support as well, and just again, so imagine the folks, man, imagine the folks that were around them when they saw young Caleb White hit the floor, and now it's kind of a domino effect, right? Because
Oh
you
yeah,
got you
absolutely.
got the initial situation of dealing with that. You got to deal with the initial with the core family, but now you got to deal with the extended family and everyone that saw their teammate, the point guard on the squad, is no longer there, literally and
Yep.
figuratively, and all that. So there's a lot of things that you got to deal with on this, and we just shouldn't have to have these types of stories that are hitting the headline news, especially when we're talking about sports. Sports, we should be arguing about how bad my Steelers are. We should be talking about, why,
But
those kind of things, as opposed to stuff like this.
But I think that's why our show is so unique, because we're talking about the mental aspect
Yeah,
and the people, how it affects them, and
yeah,
how, like you said, how bad it's gonna. I mean, how's it gonna be? His teammates from AAU, his teammates from his high school basketball team, his coaches, his parents, his family, his extended family. This is all gonna take a mental a mental issue, this could take a mental issue on all of them, because you never forget, it bothers people. I have a friend right now, coach right now. He witnessed one of his teammates died, and he still hasn't. He said he's never been the same since.
wow,
He just hasn't been the same. He always consistently thinks about it. So I can only imagine if I see my teammate and my top teammate, right, the top dog on the team, the guy we all look up to, the guy we all, we're praising, the guy that we really love. He's carrying us on his back, and then you see him pass out, and he passes away. Man, that has to do something to your mental, your psyche, and I think that needs to be addressed, because we always talk about mental health, right? There's always something when we talk about mental health. This is a prime time where the mental health and the people that are in that field need to come to the rescue of those people, because we know it's gonna have some type of long lasting effect on all those individuals.
yeah. The story is gone from the front page right now, but again, it just continues to reverberate because I would just imagine. I haven't been in this particular situation, but the pain of this right here is long lasting. So there we go. Caleb White, 17-year-old, number 3 high school basketball player in all of Alabama, dies on the court. So hopefully we'll get some clarity after reports and things of that nature, and then we'll bring those back to you guys when we get that information. All right. Listen, again, appreciate everybody for jumping in, joining in. I forgot where we streaming tonight. I think we're everywhere. Again, I'm a little disheveled this week, so we may be out there on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I think we are. Obviously, we on the YouTube. We may be in we are definitely in Facebook, because I see Tony Davis sitting there, and Tony's is definitely bringing some value. So appreciate you, Kevin Cox, in here doing what he do. Hicks Senior is in the room, so yeah, we officially on the clock tonight. Everyone else, if you got any comments, questions, or things like that, please put them in the chat. Before we move on, y'all see I pinned a comment in YouTube. We doing an extra discount on everything just for tonight's show. I'm rocking the bucket hat, and look at my tail with the focus joint going. Man, you know what? Let me put that in the carousel too. Hold on, man. Let's go ahead. Let me put that focus hat in the carousel. Either way, H&M 15. Don't worry about that TNS 10. Use H&M 15 for anything in the store. Yeah, goodness, great. Hold on, let me find it, man. Can I? All right, Kevin. See, this is why we need you, man, here behind the scenes. I probably can't customize this live stream kind of thing. Let me it's like, hold up. Y'all talks amongst yourselves.
Yeah. So while you doing that, I want to give everyone an update on the World Cup of Swimming has made a decision on transgender athletes.
Oh my God!
And this is an interesting decision they made. It just came 6 hours ago, so it just dropped out. They made a decision to have an open bracket. So it'll be men's, women's, and then the open, which transgenders can participate against anyone that wants to participate in that field for the World Cup of Swimming.
Wait a minute. Say that. Hold on. Hold on. Say that again.
So they will have an open bracket, and the open bracket transgenders can participate in. So they'll have a men's competition, women's competition, and the open bracket where transgenders or anybody else who wants to compete can compete in that field.
And this is for what?
And that's for the World Cup of Swimming. World Cup of Swimming.
Wow. Okay.
That's I think that's forward thinking.
Well,
where they going with it?
What's crazy about that is we joked. I don't know if we necessarily joked around, but we said
Yeah.
You kind of got three options. You got either go as it is, you
Mm-hmm.
don't compete, or mess around and create your own league.
Yes. And they're creating events, open event, open category. So I
Wow.
think they're addressing it right, at least for right now. I don't know if that's a band order or if that's going to be something that's permanent, but that is probably the right thing. And it's the first ever open category races that were held to accommodate transgender swimmers at the World Aquatics in Berlin in October.
I'm gonna tune into that because I'm gonna tune into that just because I want to see the haters. I want to see who are the folks that are going to come out and boycott. I want to see who, because I just want to see it. I want to see who the folks are that are going to come out and boycott. I want to see who are the folks that are come out and support, and I want to see who are the folks that are going to compete. I want to see it all, really, because I like the story aspect, but this is forward thinking, and this is probably going to be the precipice to the Olympics. So
This is going to say, I think,
this is it right
yeah,
here, right?
I
Yeah.
think this sets the precedence for the Olympics. I think this is going to set the precedence for a lot of things that are going on in our society today. I think there's going to have to be men's, women, and then open category, right? Where open category, especially in sports and probably in everything we do, right? It's going to be in everything we need to do as far as if we want to categorize that. Now, my thing is now when you have that, that's going to get murky too, right? Especially when it comes to open. So, is it okay for a transgender man to compete against a transgender woman, or are they going to separate those guys? You know what I'm saying? There's a competition within that competition itself.
Yeah.
So, but I applaud the World Aquatics for coming up with this idea, not letting anything stop them to be able to make sure everyone has an opportunity to compete. I think this is going to be adopted by college. It has to be. It's going to have to because college sports are getting slammed. College and high school sports are getting slammed right now. Why not have this open category for everyone to compete in? That way you
So
don't have the unfair advantage. Everyone can compete, sign up, and go.
okay, I just got so many questions. Yeah, and again, this is one of the things, folks, that we were chopping it up about before, right? Because at the last minute, let's just say I was out there, and I just said, you know what, I want to. I look at my competition in the men's category, and I said, man, I'm not fast. Not, don't want to say it disrespectfully. I'm saying, man, I'm not as fast as some of them dudes out there. Let me go over and hang out in the open category. I think my
Mm-hmm.
chances are just because today I want to race in the open category instead of my defined lane. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
What?
I
Okay.
mean,
So
I don't know
could
what I don't know.
I can literally do that. I don't have to have any paperwork that says I now identify as X, Y, or Z.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know what the rules are. How they're
Yeah,
going to
we
determine if
got to
you
get
want
some
to
rules,
open.
man. We got we got to
I
get
don't know
some
how they're
rules.
going to determine the open the open. What's going to be the open. But I mean, the fact of the matter, they developed an open category.
Yeah,
I think that's forward thinking, very
I agree.
forward
I
thinking when it
agree.
comes to competition sports, especially sports like swimming, and then like we just had the issue with tennis. We're talking about the tennis issue they just had.
Mm-hmm.
Also with wrestling and MMA or boxing, we have all these situations that are coming up. I think this open kind of it's a polite way of creating a category, right? It's open category, basically made for transgenders that want to compete
So,
without them competing against their biological sex and having an unfair advantage or disadvantage.
so in
So
actuality, I mean, it's good on paper and it's good as a headline, but kind of like Kevin is saying, all this is doing is creating more opportunity, which is a good thing. Problem is though, funding, and then Title IX conversations, right? So that's when that's when the bureaucracy comes in, and that's when the
that
folks with the deep
I
pockets.
mean,
So it looks
we were the
good in
first,
the front of the news,
and
but
we were the first to talk about that. How is this going to affect Title IX all of a
yep.
sudden? Because we're talking about equality sports for everybody, right? Equality sports for everybody across the board. It should be scholarships for everybody across the board. How's this going to play in with the basically? Let's call it what it is: a new sex, right? A transgender sex. That's what it is. It's trying to be identified as a new
Man,
sex.
I'm gonna be
How's this going to
watching
play?
this.
How is that going to play out now? Because I can tell you right now, um, for Title IX, it should screw everybody, right? Everyone should be screwed. Every sport should be screwed in college sports right now, because there's no way you're going to be able to make up that many scholarships.
Just
It's
blow it
impossible.
up, right? Just blow it up and start all over. Kind of like
It,
Pac-12.
so
It's kind of like the Pac-12.
so now do we go? Do they have to go back to the drawing boards
Yeah.
and alleviate Title IX, or definitely remodify it, right? Or me personally, I say, I've always said this, it should be based on a percentage basis. If this many male athletes are on scholarship, this how many female athletes should be on scholarship, based on how many you have participating.
Okay,
and
I got you.
And so on. So that way it lets the small schools that have a little bit of money allow them to be able to have, a football team and basketball and all these sports, and women don't necessarily have to have the same amount of sports because they don't have a sport that takes up 100 people, right? There's no sports developed for women now. But you have volleyball. So that means I would say 80% of your sports, whatever you have in your school, they have to be on scholarship. That's a more, I think, amicable way of being able to have it. And make sure they bring in more sports. But now you have a whole other thing with transgenders coming in. So it's gonna be I don't know, man. That part right there, that's where I want to see where the legislation comes in and see what's gonna happen. Because now we're talking about big money.
Now we're
right?
talking real money. We're talking
We're
grown folks.
talking real
And
money
see,
because
if there were two stories, hold on, because I'm about to go. I'm in a rant mood. I just need to go a little bit bigger. If there were two stories that you and I swear for God that we broke. One, NIL, and two, the seriousness that folks need to pay attention to this conversation about transgender athletes. And I kept saying, come the Olympics, there are two stories that we broke. And everyone else is now jumping on board. I'm not patting us on the back, but kind of am. Because again, now these are the two biggest conversations really that are happening as it relates to sports, society, economics, and especially the youth, this next generation, because from an NIL perspective, talk about money and economics, things like that. And now we're talking about society. Now we're talking about Title IX, all this stuff right here, right? I mean, there's a method to the madness, folks. Y'all better recognize, tell somebody. But Title IX,
I think
go ahead.
We've been so successful firing the warning shots, right? We fired the warning shots and let everybody know. Now they see it's coming forth, and we're going to see even more, especially with this Title IX issue. I mean, right now everybody's so consumed with the Pac-12 and that's like the big story right now, and so on and so on. And it won't be, and these stories won't really start to shape form until we get to after football season, because they're not going to mess up their football money. No one is. That's too much money.
Right.
That's billions of dollars. So they're not going to disrupt that. Even if it's out there, they're not going to talk about it. But when football season is over, that's when the conversations are going to really start to be had about, hey, what's going on with Title IX? How do we appeal, and how do we make sure we're in compliance with these? Because I can guarantee you, someone that's transgender is going to sue the Title IX. They're going to take that to court, and for me, rightfully so. Because if it goes by the verbiage that's in Title IX, they have a right. They have absolutely right to go ahead and do it. And I wanted for them to reword it or remake it, because Title IX has been a long time, and Title IX has dismantled a lot of college sports for a lot of promising young athletes to have an opportunity to go to school.
Truth.
Title IX has helped women. Don't get me wrong, and I think that's exactly what it's supposed to do. But in that same end, GMs and schools, the way they wanted to cut money, is saying, all right, cool. Instead of us being creative and creating sports for women, we'll keep the ones we have and we'll cut the other ones on men's side, which is like which I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's a lot of sports that involved a lot of African Americans and Latino Americans and men of color. A la football, they cut football. They cut stuff like rugby that involved a lot of huge Polynesian code. They cut sports that involved a lot of men of color in order to meet the Title IX, instead of being creative and creating more sports to have neglected for both. So I'm all for it to be rewritten.
Do your research, folks. We're not just sitting here talking about this. Is an opinion, right? This piece right here, this is actual facts. So you don't have to believe the left and the right here, but you definitely do your research and go find that out, and you will shockingly be surprised that we telling it kind of like it is. Kevin Cox over here making fun of my Pac-12 jokes. He said, let's get Cal and Stanford in the Big Ten. while we were on. Oh my goodness, it's probably gonna happen.
No, that ain't gonna
Yes, it
happen.
is. Yes, it is.
No, it
Listen,
won't.
yes,
No, it
dude,
won't.
they yeah,
Why?
okay.
Okay,
I think it
tell me
is.
why would you take Stanford? Stanford's prepared to go independent. Stanford has enough money in their bank to go
Stanford gonna be
independent.
like
They're
Penn
not
State
worried.
and just call their own shots.
Just call their own shots and play where they want to.
Penn State
Cal's
is
the one that Cal is in a $134 million debt right now, their athletic program. And no one wants to pick them up. And rightfully so. Why? You haven't had a successful team in a long time. They don't feel you'll be competitive, and your market is already split. You don't even own the market. Like Colorado, the difference between Colorado and them, Colorado owns their market. They own Denver in their market. So they can suck, but they own a whole market that's going to watch them. Cal doesn't own their market. Cal has to
who
split with Stanford. And Stanford's
I was
prepared to go.
okay. You know what? I was trying to figure who you were thinking they split with. That okay? No,
Yeah,
not just.
and right now, in low kept secret, San Jose State has became very, very good over the last 5 or 10 years. So, with
Yeah,
that being said, your market is split in half. You're split in half definitely with Stanford, and then San Jose State is creeping up, taking a little bit more of your audience because you haven't been successful and haven't been to a bowl game.
that's
So
crazy. San
Cal is
Jose
screwed.
State. Wow.
So Cal is screwed. So, in my opinion, why would the Big Ten take them when it's such a volatile situation? We could care less. They're not very good. We don't really need them. Stanford can either have us or not have us. They can go either way they want. The thing who the true two teams that are screwed is Oregon State and Washington State. They don't
Yes,
even have a market.
we don't have a market because we as Oregon State, man. Me and my Beavers, boy. When my son go back in a couple of weeks, we don't have a market.
Man, and
Great
and those
program
two
though.
teams are both they're very good
Yeah,
and they're cool. But we're gonna talk about the Pac. Well, let's stay on the Pac-12 real quick. If the Pac-12 was gonna be smart,
Pac-18. We calling it. Tony Davis calling it the Pac-18. They growing.
the Pac-12 the Pac-12 should absorb Mountain West. Mountain West shouldn't even exist anymore. Absorb the Pac-12 to Mountain West. Call it a day. I know teams like Cal and them have a problem going to Albuquerque, playing New Mexico, and maybe swelling to some of these small towns and playing. But the only way the Pac-12 is to save itself is absorb the Mountain West and also absorb North Dakota State and South Dakota State. The last 2 years of Division I AA champions.
Yeah.
Bring them into the market as well. That way, we're saying, okay, we'll be the gateway for the powerhouses that are coming out of Division I AA that can compete with these teams. We'll absorb the Mountain West, and I would give Stanford, Washington State, and Oregon State an option. You guys have a 2 year with an option to leave after your third year, being in the new Pac-12. So you compete here, and then your third year, if you want to leave, we'll give you an option to leave because by that time, we'll find other two teams to absorb on in, being the new Mountain West.
Have you got a whiteboard like behind you so we can like draw this on the board because we need some visuals on this right here because we done gone from the
I have a drawing
Pac-12
next
to the
time we come on board.
Pac-18 now to 20 pack. But hey, who knows, man? Right? Everything is just up in the air as it relates to that, man.
Hey, and on the side note, the Pac-12 president is an idiot. I'll call it. I'll say it. He's an idiot. He's a dummy. He was cocky. He's
Man,
stupid. And look what he just blew up.
not gonna get in the VIP booth at the Pac-12 game. Okay. I hope he's not at the Super Bowl this year.
If he is, I'm gonna say it to his face. I don't have no problem. You stupid. You dumb. You just cost everybody. You just cost everybody some money.
He told
he
really blew it up. Yeah.
And you went from a Power 5 conference to now you're gonna be a mid-major. That's what you've done. And I hear you, Tony Davis. I see you unify the Mountain West and the Sun Belt. I think that one will help as well. But I would say if they absorb all the Mountain West, which it makes sense because of the Pac-12, with the 4 teams they have existing, that I already believe that makes us at 12. And I would take the 2 or 3 top teams in the Sun Belt, but I definitely would absorb South Dakota State and North Dakota State in and capture that northern market because if we have that market right there, that means they take everything west of the Mississippi pretty much are going to be part of this new team, minus the teams that migrate to the Big Ten. It only makes sense. It'll be the biggest mid-major conference right there, and there'll be at least 3 teams that make major bowl games out of it. Why not do it? It just makes sense.
I have no argument. I do. Yeah. I have no argument because I'm still a little flabbergasted. I'm using big words today. You know, I don't ask me how to spell it, but using big words. Just seeing all of this reorganization. It's not the first time that these reorgs have happened as well. I think this is actually for me. I'm gonna be selfish. This is the first time that I'm vested in these reorgs and these conferences and these particular schools that are moving across across the aisle. So yeah, we'll see what's jumping off. We'll see what's going on. Hey, my man Gabe is in the building. Appreciate you for joining us, brother. And thank you for tuning in. Me and Montel just chopping up. You know how we do. Team No Sleep. Tony says, I agree for real. They are going to blow up and restructure the whole Power Five thing. Let's get to a true playoff rather than this 4-team BS.
Well, I think they're extending. I thought they extended to 6 or 8 this year. I think they
Yeah,
already extended it this year.
it's 24. Yeah, this year. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's extended to 6, right? I think it's
Yeah.
6 or 8. I forgot which one. But it's
It was
extended this year. And Kevin, I agree with you. I think it should be the top 16 teams should play. The top ranked 16 teams should play 1 versus 16, and then each one of those games absorb one of the bowls all the way till we leave to New Year's Day. But with that being said, it kind of messes everything up because it cuts the season short, right? The regular season would have to be cut short. They can't play 12 games anymore. They would only have to be allowed to play 10, and then maximize all the way up to 14 games if they did it that way. So I agree with you, though. They need. I think it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be restructured because there's too much money in there. The Big Ten, the Big 12, SEC, and the ACC.
Ooh,
I don't think they're giving up that dough.
don't mess with Debo's money. Don't mess
Yeah,
with Saban's money because
yeah.
there'll be some furniture moving if you end up doing that.
Yeah, I don't know how restructured it's going to be that, but it'll be those 4 are the super conferences that are going to be there. They've got the West Coast teams now, so Pac-12 automatically drops down to a mid-major. They're no longer a Power 5 conference, and there won't be another conference coming up to become a Power 5. I think that's it. So West Coast football is still alive, but it's just going to be alive in the Big 10 or the Big 12.
That it's only going to be for us die hard because of the team, because we're vested in the team, because we either have someone going to the right. It's not going to be. It's just not going to have the same energy, not going to have the same feel. But we will see what it's out, man. I don't know. Let the others play each other that don't make the playoffs.
Well, there'll still be bowl games for them.
Oh yeah,
but I'm saying
still be out there.
Yeah, there won't be a playoff system for them. I think if they're gonna maximize it, the Sweet 16 makes sense to me because it's 4 extra games. But you got to cut it down to a 10-game season. It can't be a 16-game season. That's just too long and too much. Especially when you got kids that opt out right before their bowl games. Guys that are going to the pros, they'll opt out because they're getting ready for the combine and all that stuff. So if you got to cut the season short for them to be able to compete in those playoff games and forever to go. That's the setting, I think. And then you'll always have these other mid-major bowls that populate and go on that we watch, like December 27th and all these other ones. We'll have those for sure. But
look at that. They go to commissioner calling you right there. They go Pac-12 commissioner calling you. That's what that was. Every time we get to talking madness, what?
Absolutely. So I mean, it's a money game, man. We already know it's all about money.
We will see. I think it's interesting that we're talking so much about college sports, and that actually seems to be where the more interesting stories are. This is an unfortunate story, but this is an interesting story, and we'll see how it all works out. And then again, I could look at a glass half full, and it could maybe not be an unfortunate thing. We'll see how it all fleshes out. Next story we won't get into is because it's in the news. We'll talk a little bit about this. Y'all have seen this already, probably. You probably saw the movie. You probably saw The Blind Side. Shouts out to Sandy Bullock. If my wife is watching, she knows I'm a Sandra Bullock fan. The acting is okay, but look, Sandy Bullock. She got an Oscar for the movie Blind Side. Michael Oher. Y'all know the story about the Tuohy family. They supposedly took the young man in, adopted the young man. At least that's what they told him. And I'm just summarizing. I'm not. I'm just throwing my opinion in. The case in point and the issue right now, which you've probably seen on the news, is that Michael Oher is actually suing the Tuohy family because he feels that he was misled in terms of some documentation that that they made him sign when he was a youngster. He thought he was being adopted by the family, but in turn, it actually made them conservators of his name, image, and likeness. So they have been making millions of dollars off of the story and off of what they said that they've done for Michael Oher. The interesting thing about this, and me and Montel were talking about before we went live, is Why is this happening? And why is this happening? Why is it happening now? Is it a story or a clip that I saw was that Michael is just now getting this information and just now, I guess, flipping through some of the documentation and seeing what actually transpired. So it's finally now coming to life for him. It seems like a long time, right? Because Blindside came out many years ago. Is Michael Oher at the point where he needs to go out to the swap meet and start collecting some money because maybe he's running low on funds? Is that why he's suing? Is he suing for his namesake, for integrity? I don't know. So let's have this dialogue. Let's have this conversation. Michael Oher is suing the Tuohy family for false. I don't know what the word is. I'm gonna say recklessness. He believes that they used his name and they coerced him into signing a document, making him think that he was being adopted by the family, whereas he was not. But they just used his name and his likeness and his stature, and they padded their pockets. Thoughts on this?
Well, I just looked up Michael Oher's net worth. That's what I was doing. He's worth right now about 16 million. So
as of today, 16 million.
Since 16 million, 16, yeah, 60 estimated between 16 and 25 million. So with that being said, I mean, I don't know how much Michael Oher made in his career, but that could be something that's driving this. But he's been fighting this for a while. I remember a couple of years ago, he said the story wasn't real. It didn't happen that way.
Yeah, I remember some of it. He was saying some of it was Hollywood based, right? You know, but again, you got to put that in there.
So, but now he's turning around and he's suing for 15 million. I'm not quite sure. I don't know what's sparking this. To be honest with you, it seems like it's their story, his story, and then there's the truth, right? There's always three stories to every conversation.
Always.
So, maybe he was misled. Maybe he doesn't, what was going on, the paperwork he signed, rightfully so. Should he get a piece of that? Yeah, but I mean, they may have some wrongdoing as well. I don't know. I truly don't know.
It's just
whatever the situation is, they need to get resolved.
Yeah, right? My question is again, why is it? There's no statute of limitations, and so I understand that. But again, the actual conservatorship order, as you see from this article, was signed in 2004. The movie came out in 2009, earned over $300 million. Yeah, earned Sandra Bullock an Oscar, all kind of accolades, all kind of greatness, right? Rose the name of Michael Oher up. We started knowing who he was, and were impressed and humbled and felt for him and his story and all that kind of thing. Since 2009, now it's 2023. Why it take so long though, man? Why if you got documents on your desk and you've had them on your desk since 2009, you haven't opened up that mail since then. There's a problem with that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the reason why he's on this rampage to sue and to make sure he gets this done and go through it like this, because this is a situation. If it is something, this seems like it's something that can be handled behind the scenes. It doesn't seem like it needs to be drawn out in the media. This is a litigation issue, right? This is something they can litigate.
No, exactly.
Lawyers can get there and they can litigate and figure out what's going on, and figure out who owes what and the documentation and all that stuff. And we should just be having an outcome. It shouldn't be we're dragging each other through the mud of what's going on outside. That's just me. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what's fueling his anger to do this.
Yeah, no. So that makes sense, and where I'm taking it back to, I guess, our mission and our goal for our show and what we talk about. And I think Tony actually hit it right here. He said right here, he never knew what he was signing. He shouldn't have signed that, right? So again, you get these young athletes either coming into money, about to come into some money. Who you got around you? Do you have the right representation around you? Do you have a team around you who can read through legal contracts? Do you have a team around you who can help you invest money? Maybe he did, right? And maybe that'll all flesh out. But again, we talk about that a lot as well. Folks coming into cash, folks coming into fame, coming into celebrity and things of that nature. You got to have the right folks around you, or something like this could happen where 20 years down the road, we talking about $300 million and you looking for your piece of that pie. And hopefully you got all your documentation lined up before you go in front of a court. There you go. There is the moral to the story. Hopefully this works out for him.
What did Q do in the NWA movie when he was like, "I'm not signing that. I gotta get a lawyer. I gotta think of somebody to explain it to."
Man, yeah, don't sleep
You
on
gotta get,
Cube.
but I
Cube
mean,
is the smartest
for
one.
Michael Oher's situation, I mean, obviously he was probably young.
Yeah.
We understand the situation. He didn't come from the most polished neighborhood. He was very socially economic deprived where he came from, and these people threw him, showed him something different, asked him to sign some stuff. So I can see why he got caught up in, and he thought they had his best interest, and then he signed some things that he wasn't supposed to sign. That's
Yeah.
all understandable. But then again, I'm saying what his argument is could be done in litigation. It doesn't need to be done in the newspaper or been done out in public. He can have his lawyers contact his lawyers. They sit down in a room and they hash out everything that goes through with a conservative there, and then he awards who the money that needs to go whichever way.
We'll find out. But in today's time, everything has to be on TMZ, has to be on wherever, has to be frontline Instagram news. So we bring it up to have that story of that moral story of, again, make sure you got the right folks around you when you especially when you start dealing with grown folks' money like this. He was 18 and lived in Alabama. Sorry about it. Is it right again? And here come Hollywood. Here come Hollywood with a big old project that end up making over $300 million. Yeah, it's hard to put that pen down, right? Someone give you that pen and say, "What you gonna do? You gonna sign?" What you want? You on mute right? You don't want to say nothing? Or what happened? Is the police calling you? Because Montel, you on mute.
No, you can't hear me.
Oh yeah, it sounded like somebody was calling you, and because again, every time we get to talking about the establishment, either my internet goes off.
They didn't hear me on this one, but they did me calling.
Either my internet goes off or someone start calling you, and it was either the IRS, FBI, somebody is calling to figure us out. I'm just surprised. In a few months, we haven't gotten pulled off the air just yet. That's all right though. In all fairness, he more than likely didn't have anyone run this stuff by before signing, and the ones who did explain must have put a spin on it to make it seem like it was something that it wasn't. My goodness.
I agree.
My goodness.
I agree.
That's true. That's sad though. That's just how that worked out. That's it, man. I don't have any other stories tonight because again, like I said, I was a little lacking this week in terms of finding. There's not a lot going on. I'm trying to watch preseason football, and it's not a good look. It's just not a seeing the not even the twos, seeing the threes, the fours, and the fives out there on the field is not a good look. But the fact that the season is coming around the corner, that's a dope thing. That's a good thing. That's just closer to you and me finally being at the Super Bowl this year. So that's a good thing because y'all know Team No Sleep. We're gonna be at the Super Bowl, but I haven't seen anyone that impresses me as of yet because 60% of the folks playing right now not even gonna suit up day one, and 20% of them probably won't even make the cut.
True.
So.
I am mad about all the slack Trey Lance is catching though. I mean, they bashing that poor man like no others, talking about he wasn't worthy of his draft pick because of what's going on with him in the 49ers and how they think his performance. But to me, it's funny because fans are so fan weather. I remember them talking about Alex Smith when he first was there, and they hated him and said he was a bust and all those things until he got with the right coach. Trey Lance is not a bust. He may not be right for the Shanahan system, and he may not be successful for the Shanahan system.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right, and then real elite cats that can be, well, not even just elite, just as real finite folks that can be in that Shanahan family system because him and his daddy, right, were the other truth. So that makes sense. Yeah, hopefully he'll work it out.
So I mean, you can't crucify the young man and say he's probably that was the worst trade ever, and he can't play football because he's not fitting in that complex system, and other people are comfortable with it. He needs to be able to get either opportunity, learn the system. Remember, it took Steve Young a long time to learn the system behind Montana. Some people pick it up faster. I know that the young boy The young boy that got to get in last year and played really well, he picked it up pretty well because he was on scout team and he understood a lot of things. And Trey Lance got
Purdy,
hurt.
yeah, Brock Purdy,
But I
yeah.
mean, you can't. I just can't stand when people just bash people and they throw them under the bus so fast because they're not moving at the success rates you want them to move at. He may need a little bit more time to develop. He just came off an injury, a whole year off leg injury, and now he's back. And now people saying he should have never been drafted. He shouldn't be in the NFL. He shouldn't be X, Y, Z. I find it very, very hard to believe people bashing that way. I think he may need a change of scenery, or he may need another year to learn what's going on. But you ain't gonna tell me that young man's not good enough to play in the league. Yeah. And that's sad. And you know what's crazy? It's our own kind bashing him like that. It's Shady McCoy who's the one that said it. So it's our own kind throwing slander on our own just for he can make ratings. Dude, just be real honest with it. You know it takes a lot longer for some people to develop than others, especially when it comes to quarterback in the NFL.
Yes,
now, is he a fit for the 49ers? Maybe not. But you can't say he shouldn't have been drafted and it's the worst decision they ever made. We only do that to our own, man, when we crucifying people in the media. Because he didn't say that about Sam Darnold when he was a bust. When Sam Darnold didn't do nothing when he got drafted and been traded by 4 teams. What's the boy that just got traded from the Jets? The guy that was drafted by the Jets 2 years ago, now he's out. I mean, so you're going to talk trash about another black man because he's not developing the way you want to, but you ain't saying nothing about those other quarterbacks that busted, that didn't turn out to be anything, and say they shouldn't be in the league either. That's foul. So Shady McCoy, he should be on blast for crucifying another person and not saying the right thing. All you got to say is he's not the right for that team, and maybe he needs a little bit more development or be traded. But don't ostracize the man out of the league because you didn't do that to the other guys that turned out to be drafted that hasn't been anything. Because if I don't remember, the guy from the Jets was drafted before him, and he ain't playing very well at all either.
Look it up. Shady about to get a DM in about 2 hours when I cut this up. He about to get a DM.
That's a foul comment. Yeah. He could talk all that mad because he played and all that, but that was a foul comment. Zach Wilson, you're absolutely Kevin. Zach Wilson, he's supposedly be a bust, but ain't no one saying that about he deserves to be out of the league. So how you gonna say that about this man? I hate man when other men do that to other men, and especially when other black men do to other men, because you're just pushing us down the totem pole, especially with the inflamed comments he made saying he didn't deserve to be drafted. It was the worst trade ever. Like, why do you put so much emphasis on what's so bad about it when there's been worse trades and worse instances that before, and other quarterbacks that have been drafted before him are doing just as bad, and you're not saying anything about them? Kind of foul.
Not good.
That's just foul.
Not good. Shady McCoy puts a lot of folks on blast. Likes to talk about it. Yeah. We'll see. Well, again, y'all watch me on.
Let's talk about him not getting the job with Skip. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. That's true.
He didn't get the job.
He didn't get the job. Who over there? Oh, your boy is over there now, huh? Yeah, that's right.
I think Richard Sherman's gonna be there. I hope Richard Sherman's gonna be
there. Yeah. That's gonna be nice. I'll watch that. I'm still not a Skip Bayless, so I'm just deviating. I'm still not a Bayless fan because he's been wrong so many times. But I will watch it for Richard Sherman. Man, put that Stanford education along with that man with a GED or whatever. Okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but that's gonna be cool. We went through our stories, talked about Caleb White. We talked about interesting segue. We talked a little bit about the swimming and what's going to happen with them, with transgender athletes and their open session. What's going on with the various NCAA leagues. And you're right, man, it's all about money. Nobody's going to make any decisions until after football is done. Not just after it started, but after it's done. So what else we got going in the world, or anybody got any topics that they like to bring us up before we close for the week, so I can get to cutting up this content right here and copying Shady McCoy on it and just putting him out there on blast. I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna stir it up. Trey Lance, Zach Wilson ahead of Trey Lawrence. I'm sorry, Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Golly. See, trust me, this is only the first one, y'all. I haven't had a lot. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson.
Lawrence is playing very well for Jacksonville. I don't even think Zach Wilson is in the Jets uniform anymore.
No, he's not. No, he's not. I did read that.
So Trey Lance is a bust because The 49ers traded him, and he hasn't developed the way they want. The way Shady feels he should have been developed at. But you ain't say nothing about Zach Wilson, the number 2 pick. Come on, man. Like, for real. Like, that's foul, man. I would agree he's not playing to where we expect him to be right now. But to say he doesn't deserve to be in the league, or he shouldn't have been drafted in the league, or it's the worst trade ever, and it's not his fault. When he was drafted, he shouldn't be in the league. I mean, what kind of crap is that, bro? Like, come on, man. Like, that's not cool. I just don't think that's cool. I don't think he should have said those things about Lance, whether he likes the way he's playing or not. As long as Shanahan doesn't have a problem with his development,
and that's why
Shady McCoy should have no problem with his development.
That's exactly why I put this up. Shouts out to Coach for sticking by his dude, at least for handling the situation, right? Regardless, it doesn't mean if he's gonna suit up. He probably won't suit up, because if Brock Purdy, he did so much. He did so much that was special last year that he's probably still going to be the starter when he comes back. But for Coach Shanahan to say, "Hey, trade, man, I know they throwing haymakers at you, man. Shouts out to you for standing up to that. That's a grown man right there. That's good stuff right there. So
and that's a grown man statement, regardless if they cut him or trade him or not. Yes. At least he's defending him, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't like I said, man. I don't know where he got his gall to talk about. Hey, he should never be in the league and blah blah blah. He shouldn't have been all that stuff, and that's just foul. Why you down in another man's pocketbook because yours ain't right? Why are you down in him and say he shouldn't be in the league because you're not in the league no more? I know Shady got done wrong in the end of his career. I get it. You got a bitter taste in your mouth about certain things, but your comments meant to down another person is foul. I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's cool at all. I think he should have handled it politically correct and let it move on the same way you politically correct handle when other people are in a situation you don't feel it developed right. Like Zach Wilson. I didn't hear him say one word about Zach Wilson. Not one. Zach Wilson ain't even playing. I mean, is he playing if he might be a backup? He ain't even competing for a starting job nowhere. So you ain't saying nothing about him? You ain't saying he was wrongfully drafted. He shouldn't have been drafted by the Jets. He should be out of the league. You're not saying that about him. So why are you going to say that about Trey? Because it gets you your little clicks and your little highlights, man. That's foul. Especially when you're down in another African-American male. We already got it hard as enough in his career. Why are you going to do him like that? You could have said the same thing politically correct.
Letting that marinate right there. Just letting that marinate. There you go. I think Trey gonna be all right. I think he's gonna be all right. Right. He's got the right head. He's got the right. He's a decent IQ. Right. Again, just probably that playbook. Right. There's probably too many different calls, different signals. Just too many different things that he hasn't been used to. Yes. in his short career yet. Right, in his college career.
And Shanahan's offense doesn't play to his strengths. Yeah. Trey Lance can run the ball. He's more of Colin Kaepernick. Purdy more stays in the pocket. Mm-hmm. Which what that offense is built around, a quarterback to stay in the pocket. It's not built for a quarterback to run around. That's not Trey Lance's strength. That's exactly why they that's one of the reasons why he's not developing the way he wants. He's not playing to his strengths. And that's okay, because he wants to conform him to be the quarterback he wants to be. But that takes time. So I'm just saying, I'm not disagreeing with Shady saying his performances hasn't been what we expected. But I'm saying you don't need to bash the man and talk about he doesn't deserve to be in the league, shouldn't have been drafted, and all those good things. That's unnecessary. You could have just said he's not developed yet. Maybe this is a move they need to trade. In my opinion, it might have been a bad trade to swap up all those to get out there, especially with the way he's playing now. But I hope he gets to go somewhere else and gets developed, because maybe the Shanahan system is not right for him. Easy way to say it, man. Politically correct. You're not bashing nobody. You ain't talking about the man should be out the league. But that's some BS. That's that media BS. Mm-hmm. That's all that is, and I think that's crap. It doesn't have to be said that way.
Good point from you. Great point from you. Great point from Tony talking about, because I thought Geno Smith was done.
Yep.
But now look at him. Yeah, Geno out there doing what he needs to do. So shouts out to, again, being in the right system and being where you can thoroughly flourish. Now, I know it's too early. I was going to ask you who you're looking at so far this season, but let's do that next week, because again, it's too early, and I'm just not impressed. But maybe we'll get some things happening. Maybe we'll see what's going on with your boy Elliott. over. Where'd he go? Where'd Zeke go? Zeke went to the Patriots.
He with the
Oh
Patriots
my
now.
God. So, Zeke went to the Patriots, and I heard kind of rumors, and I found out that it was kind of true. I guess Marshawn was walking around the field with the Lions. So I know Marshawn Lynch ain't coming back, but man, his show would be fun if he was. He's probably filming some commercials or something. But good Lord, if Beast Mode come back, so Marshawn was, for some reason, y'all can take a look at it too. He was hanging out at practice out there on the field with them Lions. Boy, if Marshawn bring his Skittles to Detroit, my gosh,
It's never be the same. If he bring his antics to Detroit, it's gonna be Skittle Nation again.
My God, boy.
But Marshall's a little bit old, man. I think
yeah,
the cleats need to stay retired, man. I mean, his legacy's been done. He's fine.
Yeah,
I think he
should be all right. He gonna be all right. But sure would be fun to see him. There's a couple of cats that would be nice to see back out there running up and down the field. Maybe we'll talk about some of those. We'll talk about the Cams. We'll talk about the Marshawns. Talk about the Collins. And a couple of folks that still T.O. Okay, I'm gonna leave it right there. T.O.
Leave that alone.
T.O. can still listen. I've seen that man train and exercise. That man can still run a mean route.
He still run, but he ain't been hit in a long time.
He ain't been hit, but he can still run. Okay, a little bit different. Oh my God, brother! All right, this was good, man. I needed this. I appreciate you. Appreciate the community. We got some subscribers to the channel. Quentin Cruz, thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of the Team No Sleep family, and to everybody else as well. And how we typically do, Montel Allen takes us home, man. So go ahead, brother. Do your thing.
Always, man. Be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations, and make sure you check up on loved ones. R.I.P. to the White family. I'll send my prayers to them. And I also got to send a shout out to my man, Magic Lindsay. His wife was going through cancer treatment, man. One of the strongest brothers I know. I wish his wife a speedy recovery.
That's it. Y'all be good to yourself. Take care. We out.